Hey, all right, we got quorum.
Little technology, okay.
Hey.
Hey there. Alrighty. Hello, how are you? We're good again. All right, we are good again. Great. All right, good morning and welcome to the MPO meeting on this Thursday, December 9th. My name is Camille Hernandez. I'm the vice chair and standing in for Lance Smith, who hopefully will join us momentarily. We're going to start by asking you to please rise with the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all, and please be seated. Let's see, we do have a quorum. We're going to go ahead and action item number 1, approval of the roll call, please. Sorry. Roll call.
Mayor Scott Tremblay. Councilman Matt Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey. Commissioner Christina Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Here.
Chairman Lance Smith. Vice Chairwoman Mayor Camille Hernandez.
Here. All right, thank you for that. This is the portion of our meeting for public comments. Is there anyone that is joining us here remotely or in person that would like to address the board at this time? Do we have anybody remotely? We don't. Okay, very good. We have first action item is approval of minutes. We have the annotated minutes from the October 14th minute. We've had those for our review. Is there any changes, corrections, or deletions to those? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Approval. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Oakley, a second by Commissioner Moore. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Before we get on to the MPO Advisory Committee reports, we have the pleasure of having our secretary here, Secretary Gwen. My understanding is he would like to address the board and also has another commitment. So if you all are okay with that, I'd like to ask him to address the board at this time.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, and I know I've had discussions with some of you, and in fact, Commissioner Moore and I have spoken a number of times about our 3 projects in Pasco County that were defaulted under the DAB construction, those being the diverging diamond at State Road 56 and I-75, the State Road 54 widening, and then the State Road 52 widening. So wanted to give you an update, the latest, and we've had a few changes and updates in the last few days, so it's probably good timing. So as you probably remember, it was the end of July when DAB defaulted, more or less put us on notice that they were not financially able to continue to complete the projects. And what happens at that point is we send letters out to the surety, the people that provide the bond on the project, that's in case someone defaults, you bring in a replacement contractor. The rule of thumb typically is 2 to 4 months to get a new contractor on board. What they have to do is bring the contractors that they want to compete for the work to come out, inspect the work, see what work has been done, make sure it's done correctly, and more or less figure out what they have to do to complete the contract. That takes a little bit of time. We did prioritize the diverging diamond and ask them to make that their first priority. It's not normal that you get 7 contracts in one area that you default all at one time, so you have to kind of prioritize. The good news is the diverging diamond, Superior Construction came on. They're the folks building the new alignment of State Road 52. They're almost, I think, a year ahead of schedule. Great contractor. They jumped on to the diverging diamond. One thing they just recently did was, it wasn't really required of them in a contract, but they, for the Christmas holiday season, opened up an additional lane on State Road 56 to try to help with the merchants in the area and be able to provide a little better service during the shopping season. They did do that. They've told me that we should see in early February traffic shifting into the new configuration. So this is when we get into the crossover where you'll start to see the new lanes going in the new places. At that point, though, not all of the new lanes will be open. Probably a month and a half later, you'll see all of the diverging diamond lanes in their final configuration, in their final place. The only thing that'll be left to do is kind of cleanup work after that to wrap up the job and get everything, the landscaping, all the different things to close it up. That should be done by this summer. So we're almost there to get the new configuration, and that's good news on that one. State Road 52, the surety has brought in Pepper Construction. They're called now PCS. They're building, if you're ever up in Hernando County, there's a job on State Road 50 that's up near where 98 and 301 come into to 50. They're ahead of schedule on that contract too, and that's encouraging because I think they'll hit this job hard. That still has about 2 years left of construction, but I'm sure that this new contractor will come in and start hitting it good pretty quick. The one that's given us the most challenge has been State Road 54, and for a variety of reasons. The biggest reason recently, and we're at about that 4-month mark. In fact, 4 months would have probably been right around Thanksgiving. So now we're in the part where they're kind of not really in the time limit that we try to hit to get the new contractor on board. However, they contacted us a month or so ago and told us that Conan Graham, who's building your Ridge Road contract and built the 56 extension, very good contractor, was going to do the work, and they were just waiting to give him notice to proceed. But as we continue to see no work, and I continue to get work calls from Commissioner Moore asking me where are they at, why aren't they out there, or citizens. The latest they came back to us a week or so ago was they're trying to package the island contract in Pasco County with the State Road 54 because they intersect, and they thought getting one contractor to build it all will be cleaner, which makes sense. But what they were telling me is they weren't going to start working on our contract till they got the contract with the county resolved as well. The earlier, I guess it was earlier this week or late last week, I sent them a letter. We have some hammers that we can still use. One of them is that if the contractor shows good faith, or more or less the surety shows good faith in trying to accelerate the work and doing things to move it faster, we can work with them to negotiate liquidated damages. In other words, we may not hold them to all of the liquidated damages they're getting charged for the time that the project was idle. We sent them a letter telling them that we just think they were not showing good faith, and that if we didn't see them show up soon, that would be a consideration in the final negotiations. I haven't received a letter back from them yet, but the surety's representative did call and promised me that by December 20th, Conan Graham should be working on the project. So I'm holding my breath and believe that that's going to happen. But that being the case, we should not then have to wait for the Pasco County agreement to be in place before they start on 54. The only other item I've heard of recently on 54 is, they've opened up a new leg of the intersection at, I guess at Meadow Point. I think they brought in a new leg of the intersection. They're going to be working on getting a new controller cabinet in there. The cabinet that's out there now doesn't very efficiently handle that additional leg. There's been a few traffic issues out there with that. They're making adjustments right now to try to make it as good as they can, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll have that new cabinet and controller in there that'll handle the 4 legs more efficiently. So all in all, I think on 54, we're about there. I do believe Conan Graham's a really good choice. I'm glad they got 3 really good contractors, all who have shown they can finish work quickly. So that's our latest update. Hopefully the surety will come through on 54 and we'll be moving on all 3.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
And Secretary Gwynn, thanks so much. You won't hear from me again till the 21st.
21st, okay.
That's right.
Midnight on the
Christmas,
20th.
right? That's right. I'll be on vacation. I'll call you from vacation. But I do appreciate all your efforts in taking my calls and working with myself and the county to get through this. So again, if they're saying they're gonna be out there the 20th, I think that's satisfactory. We can all move on and hope for a smooth ride going forward. So thank you.
Additional questions or comments?
Yeah,
Commissioner
Secretary
Moran?
Gwynn, thanks for being so expedient and working with the sureties to get this all this done. Pepper's out there now. I've seen a lot of work in the past 2 weeks, so definitely some good progress that's going to go on there as well. Could I ask you another question? I know we've talked about it before, and you guys have been great Justin and all trying to help us with the county line road. Right now, I guess the interlocal agreement is sent to both counties. They're looking at it, and I think we're tweaking it to make sure it works for everybody. Do you have any updates on that? It's like funding it, et cetera?
Have any updates on that, Justin? I think we're still working together. We've heard from Hernando County that they were interested, so I
Yeah.
guess moving forward.
Like strategically, if we need to go move it up on our list to make that happen, I know they get the small county funding opportunity that we're going to try to work with, but if there's something we need to do to help make that work federally, that even includes going to DC if need be to get funding, we're happy to go do that, or I'm happy to go do that.
Well, getting the interlocal agreement, I guess, is one thing, right, Justin? Yeah, he knows obviously a lot more of the
I know.
nuts and bolts of this one.
So Justin Hall with FDOT. So the first step, intergovernmental agreement. Part of that, we've been talking to both MPOs about updating both the long-range transportation plan and the priority lists accordingly. It sounds like both MPOs are open to that conversation. So once we get the intergovernmental agreement signed, which Hernando County, we have a meeting next week. Margaret called me, and I believe we're going to set up a meeting the following week with Pasco County. So I'm hoping that we'll have the agreement ready to sign for both boards, the first of the year. And that would actually line up perfectly because I know one of the things today, Carl's going to talk about the priority list and how we're scoring projects, and that'll line up with the process, so leading up to your priority list adoption in June. So and the one thing I told everybody, we're done with our work program cycle this year. So this will all be programmed in the next cycle, assuming we get the agreements in place and all the priority lists updated. So we're in perfect time because we won't really do anything until May, June, as far as program is concerned. So right now it's just getting the plans lined up, getting everybody all on the same page, getting the agreement signed, because that's really the first step. So I'd say we're on schedule, and hopefully by the first of the year, we're signing that agreement. So.
And Hernando's got the new executive director coming in either this week or next week?
Yes, a very familiar face for the DOT. So Bob Esposito, who's worked for District 7
fantastic.
for a while. Yeah, he's going to be the new executive director of Hernando Citrus. So
Great choice. Good.
familiar face, yep.
Good to hear. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? No?
Thanks
All
again.
right. Thank you all very much.
I want to thank Mayor Hernandez for filling in for me. And I missed it. That's what I wanted to come here for, was that DOT update.
No, you missed out.
I know.
Too bad.
Yeah, please tell me.
Watch the tape.
I'll watch the tape. Okay. All good? Very good. Okay, I apologize again. I was late. I was good on time, and there's one of my cars is at the high school now. So anyway, that happens. That's the worst that happens to me today. That's not so bad. You say, where are we at on the schedule? Somebody help me out here.
The advisory committee reports.
Okay. So who is going to give the first advisory committee?
Hi, my name is, well, a lot of you know me, Sandy Graves, and I was just elected as the chair. Melanie Monson had to resign for personal reasons, so you got me. The committee also approved the meeting schedule for 2022. The committee also approved the Transportation Improvement Program amendment to request additional monies for right-of-way acquisition. The CMP Task Force report told us that there was an update on the completed study to determine where new traffic counts were needed. The CAC noted a stretch of Caliente Boulevard needs a stoplight, and Ms. Russo noted that this area was part of the Tower Road Orange Belt route studies. There was a discussion on target opening date of Ridge Road extension, and that's expected by the end of 2021, the two-lane segment, and the segment to US 41 is expected to open in 2025. There was a time I would have laughed at that, but now I'm feeling very, very confident it's going to happen. Ms. Russo described the bike ped infrastructure for Ridge Road, and there was a note about freight trucks having issues turning from Clinton Avenue onto Prospect Road with that report. During Kurt Scheibel's report, the committee did discuss the need for bus stop shelters. We've continued to ask for this need, and we hope that that would actually come to fruition sometime soon. This has been an ongoing discussion for our committee. Roundtable discussion mentioned was a mention of past plans to reroute Lake Patience Road in Land O'Lakes to Bell Lake Road and US 41. That suggestion was made because there's quite a bit of traffic there, especially using that back road to avoid 54 going through, Lake Patience Road to Sun Lake. And there needs to be a light there because it's very dangerous. Also, there was a update on incomplete construction projects, particularly the Divergent Diamond. The secretary just talked about that, so we had an update on that too. That was basically it, but we appreciate your time and appreciate you listening to our report. Thank you very much.
All right. And thank you for willingness to serve and fill in the chairperson spot. So, do we have a BPAC report? Right, Dr. Stovall.
Morning. We got to meet in our last meeting right here in this room back in October. We had a good meeting. One of the things that we talked about with great deal of excitement is the study that's looking to the possibility of putting a multi-purpose trail along Wire Road in Zephyr Hills. That would be a great continuation of that multi-purpose trail that goes down 301 between the two communities. So hopefully something good will come from that. I know there's right-of-way issues, so we'll hope that they can make it work. We did approve a meeting schedule for the coming year. And for a long time, we've met on Tuesdays. We're going to move to Wednesdays to facilitate better attendance from our members. We got reports on work plans, some things that you guys had heard in your October 14 meeting, which things all sounded good. We had some very good news, some happy news, because two local folks have gotten awards from the Gulf Coast Safe Street Summit. Casey Kersey of ACOM, that you've seen present to you before, got the Vision Zero Hero Award for her work in helping us to be safer. And then Deborah Baldock of the Engineering Services Department got Bob the Builder Award, again, for her good work for safety in Pasco County. Carl talked about the potential discussion in the legislature regarding the mid-block flashing beacons, and we think those are safety things, so we hope that that goes in the way we want it to go. And then we got a report from Tina about the courses she's been doing, the bicycle safety courses that she's done, the American Bicyclist course that she's partnered with staff at USF to bring those courses to Pasco County, which is a great thing. And then kind of a personal note, since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to participate with FDOT staff, county staff, our MPO staff, and consultants on a roadway safety study, the field trip portion, and I've never done that before. It's a lot of work, so you get to appreciate a little bit more of the work that consultants and staff bring to you when you go out and walk the roads with them. So hopefully that'll make a little section of Highway County Road 54 in Zephyr Hills a little safer. And then next week, excitement next week here in Dade City. The Bike Hub has a ribbon cutting over here, just a little bit from here on Hardy Trail, so 11 o'clock. We're looking forward to that with a great deal of excitement. And then our next meeting, Lance, is going to be in Zephyr Hills City Hall next week.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we are done with the MPO committee reports. We're on to the action items now. The first item, Carl.
Thank you very much. Our first item is a TIP amendment consisting of 5 project segments. There is a map in the packet showing the location of those. Florida DOT is generously adding money to our TIP, and these are on Route 52, which has been a priority, as well as then US 301 and 98. We seek your approval of this.
Any questions? Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Next item, item 3.
Our next item is approval of a member to the Citizens Advisory Committee, Mr. Dusty Rowland, who will represent the city of Pepper Hills. That is replacing Melanie Monson, who retired or resigned from the committee. We seek your approval.
Second.
A motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item 4.
This next item is a little bit lengthier one, and that is a number of appointments to boards and committees as we go forward. So we are seeking a member and alternate to the MPO Advisory Council, which is the collaboration of 27 MPOs statewide that meet quarterly, typically in Orlando, to discuss items of mutual interest among our 27 MPOs and to coordinate for DOT central office. We have great relationship here with the district office, but the central office cannot make it out each of the 27 MPOs. We also are looking for members to the Sun Coast Transportation Planning Alliance for calendar year 2022, so that will not affect our meeting tomorrow. A subset of that is the Transportation and Area Leadership Group. We also have members too, and then also the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Group. It would be the pleasure of this group if you
What's the pleasure of the board? Doing as a group? And then I just asked on my part that if, in the quarterly meetings in Orlando, if you and I can kind of work together on those.
That works.
Okay. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on the slate.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the slate of positions as approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Who's actually the representatives for NPFBC, and who's actually doing it for each group? Which commissioners are doing which position? So who's actually being sent to the NPFBC, Commissioner Oakley, who's looking at the TLCB.
Yeah. So I apologize. I was moving over. Apparently that microphone is not picking up.
Okay.
So, and as I was moving over here, I missed the motion here. So whom was selected for the MPOAC, please? Or is that what we nominated or just did? Was MPOAC or all?
Well, I was under the understanding we did the whole slate.
Thought we did the whole thing.
Okay.
Is there a question on the proposed slate?
You asking, is everybody keeping the same position?
Right, so for the MPOAC, for right now, it's the chair, vice chair, so right now, it's the election in February. So that would change. However, for the Central Transportation Planning Alliance, are we changing those representatives? And for the TMA, are we changing those representatives?
I'm fine with staying if that's the question.
Right, that's what we were asking in the TDLCB. So those usually change unless it's
Fine with staying. Make it simple.
I'm fine with the same.
All right. So,
And I'm on it, so I'm fine with staying on it.
pardon me?
I think, and I'm sure Catherine Starkey is,
I
so.
think Catherine too, yeah.
Okay. Why don't we make it as named by individual rather than just by position on the board, so that when we do change, if we have a change of chair and vice chair at our February meeting per our bylaws, we're not rotating people in and out. So, for example, for MPOAC, current chairman Smith, vice chair Hernandez, you'll be the members to MPOAC. We'll take it that approach. We're naming individuals.
I think that's fine. I
Fine.
think that
I mean, I'm
the
fine.
board, so in other words, as we change composition in February, of somebody else will be sitting in this chair, correct?
Potentially. That will be up to you all. I'm not going to try to influence an election.
But in that event, it wouldn't be yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be the position, it would be the person.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
we're-
I'm required to send a formal letter to each of these bodies to say, this is who will represent Pasco MPO at these bodies. So,
To be one of you guys from one of the cities.
Right.
It's kind of precedent we've set here last week.
So we're all okay with leaving the person in the position rather than the position you hold on the board. I mean, I'm
I think
fine with
that's
that.
what we said from the
Yeah.
start.
So we're good?
Very good. Thank you.
Everybody's okay? Do we have an understanding on that then? Okay. Is there a question or no?
Just wanted to make sure he was,
Okay.
got him for attendance.
They changed the motion
You're
to
as
be
lost
that?
as I.
Have they changed the motion to be exactly that wording?
Oh. Want an amendment to the motion? I think it's clear in my mind, isn't it? I mean, it's the
What would you
slate,
like us to do?
the slate
Seems
that
pretty
was,
clear.
that is presented.
I just wanted to have a clarification, so I understood the motion, but I believe we're good to go.
There's a slate of people, not necessarily the position,
Yes.
not the
So
position,
thank you.
right? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on. Item 5.
Excellent. So
wait,
item
I-
5.
I have is there a Go Pasco in between here? I see
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes, Kurt.
Kind of slipped in there. Well, it hid me.
Good day, all. Kurt Scheibel, Director, Go Pasco County Public Transportation. So I'll go ahead and talk about the bus shelters. I've been working on these for a long time. I was very lucky and found that the Jacksonville Transit Authority, has a bus shelter contract we may be able to use to speed up this whole process. So I've reached out to them. I've got the contract and sent it on to the procurement team. And so they are looking at the bus shelters so we can actually start procuring them. The good news about this is that the company will actually be able to design what we would like to have done, and they'll tell us what the price is, and we can move forward from there. So we'll be able to present some options for you, and you'll be able to have some inputs on what shelters you like in your areas, and we can move forward from there. The other good news is that we've actually got the concrete and the civil engineering contracts in place to be able to put the bus shelters in, and then my team will actually put the shelter in itself, but we'll pour the concrete and make sure we meet all the codes and so forth for that. So we are moving along. It's been taking a while, but we're moving along with that. Speaking of moving along, as you know, about a year ago, we put forth the paratransit service for the customers, where they can see where the bus is and all that stuff. It's all working now. They can even now book online with the app. They have to get the app on their phone, and we are training the folks on doing that. And then we'd set up we have to click a button inside of the system and set them up to make sure we have all the right permissions for them. And then they'll be able to book online or all kinds of other things, cancel online and so forth. I think this is a very big step that we've been meaning for customers, for customer service. So we're looking on that. The good news is now we're able to do that on the fixed route side. The bid is out on the street. So hopefully in about a month or so, we'll have the RFP process finished off with the committees. And then I'll be bringing up to the BCC for our whole process on that. We're looking at a application so the person knows exactly where the bus is, all kinds of notifications, even things on the bus for the customer service on the bus too. So we're really excited about that's finally getting through the system, and we're moving forward. Looking at my notes so I can read them. The good news is we've ordered our next round of Gillig buses. They were approved about at the end of November, just before Thanksgiving. And we've ordered the buses. We should be getting those here in about, unfortunately, it take a while. So it's 1 year plus 3 months. So February of 2023. So we are moving forward. The good news is some buses that we've had for a long time are finally getting off the rolls, which are old Eldorado Nationals. Will be a fully Gillig fleet, which has a lot of efficiency for parts. All the parts can transfer between buses and things like that. So we're really looking forward to having a same type of fleet, and it really is looking good. And then lastly, we are still exploring some of the options for electric buses. I've talked to all the BCC members on this. Federal government has really pushed forward on reducing the greenhouse emissions, going to electric buses. And it's just, when you're driving electric buses for the driver themselves, it's actually quieter so less fatiguing, and there's less vibrations on it. So they're actually a little bit safer in the long run. So we are looking at that. It's going to be a 2-year process or so, getting the funding together and getting the local funding together on this. So you'll hear me talk about more and more about this as we go along and give you some presentations. The good news is we were with PSTA when they went out for their electric bus bid, we were part of that. So we'll be able to use that contract to purchase the buses. Once I know the actual cost and so forth, then I can start saying, this is how much it's going to cost. This is what we like to go forward with, and then get your inputs on it and move forward to get the funding from the federal government. So we are moving forward on a lot of different things and growing Go Pasco. Any questions for me?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Kurt, as far as the federal funding goes with electric buses, how does that look for us, and are we applying for it in specific quantities?
Right now, we're still just trying to get how much is it going to cost and where do we want to put it? Because we have a couple studies that are studies going on what the system's going to be looking like, because that is going to change over the years. I'm looking at trying to do it along US 19. 1/3 of all our customers will go up and down US 19. I think that would be the perfect spot for that. If I was to take a guess, and this is an educated guess, a wagon, so to speak, is at probably 8 to 9 buses, looking for a charging station probably at the north end of the route by 52 or so forth, and running down and back from there. That's what we're looking at. I don't know what the cost is because I haven't seen the PSDA cost to come out, but as a rough estimate, about $1 million a bus plus the recharging station is about $1 million. And then you have to hook it up to and the reason why I wanted to go up there is there's actually already a substation up there that we can use. And if I had a magic wand, we'd also partner with Duke or with the Colucci. I think I said that right. To help with that. So we partner with them, and then they get some benefits, we get some benefits, and basically have a partnership with them. So that's where I'd like to go with this. I am like at the very baby steps on this type of process, but I will be looking to all of you all to help us move that forward, because I think it is a benefit for Pasco County and moving away from fuels.
One thing I do just for cost reasons, I would look very closely at using with Lacucci as opposed to Duke, in the sense that the rates are a lot less.
Yes, thank you for that. The thing we've got, though, is I believe the substations outside our Galen Wilson is owned by Duke, and that's who we'd have to work with. Where I believe the substation is off of 52, where we're kind of looking at is owned by with the Colucci. It's just wherever who has the electric in that area.
They used to have I think they had an office right at 52 and 19.
Our office?
No, with Lacucci used to have an office there.
I believe so.
I don't know if they still have, if there's a station there or something you can work with there, but that could be the opportunity.
That would be I'll have conversations with those folks and move forward on that, yes.
And they're also doing some stuff up at Sun West. They're going to be taking a substation that's down on Old Dixie, moving out on the highway as well. So there may be an opportunity there to start that conversation.
You are absolutely correct, sir. We'll look at all those options.
Okay.
And whatever the option makes the best sense for what we're doing, I'll bring it to you and you all and have you all say this is the best way, and options that, well, have you thought about this? So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have another question.
Yes, sir.
So it was along those lines. I was going to ask, I know that we're seeking funding for the buses themselves, but is there federal help or aid for because you're going to have charging stations, and that's fairly costly.
Altogether. When we go for it, we're going for the whole package. So we'll get the charging stations and the buses all together. The program, if you wanted to know, is 5339. There's 2 types of those programs. One's the formulistic. What you want to look at is the what they call I just lost the word. I'm sorry. Discretionary, so to speak. People apply for the funding in there, and they move it out. Also, we'll be looking for the low-no grant, the no emission grant opportunities. The federal government basically added a 0 to the amount of money they normally give every year, and then they put it out for, and I don't remember the exact number, but I know it's not just 1-year program. It's like they increased it large for the next 2 to 5 years. And these things don't happen overnight. But we do want to move forward towards something like that, because I do think it is just beneficial for both Pasco County and the environment. But I like the aspect that the drivers are safer, a little bit safer on it, because they're just not, you fly on a plane, you get off, you're tired, and you haven't done anything, so it's just the vibrations that you're with. And it's the same type of thing.
The only other thing I was going to ask, when you propose the electric buses at some point to switch over versus where we're at now, is there going to be a change in the maintenance schedule and you're going to have all those figures, proposed maintenance? I don't know if the maintenance is
Yes.
different versus.
Maintenance will be a big part of that, and we'll have all those figures on how much, the thing I need to look at is what's the return on investment, because I mean, I can get a bus right now for $500,000. When I'm buying one bus for $1 million, when do we start making a profit? And that includes the infrastructure, and I don't know that number off the top of my head because I don't know what the cost of the buses are, and then all that is going into those figures.
No, I was going to ask just at whatever time you present it, will you have those?
We will have something like that, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And we have one more question.
Yes, I was wondering, do we have a cost comparison for electric buses versus the electric rails or streetcars? And are we looking at specifically only buses along 19, or are we looking at streetcars or?
We're not
rails?
really looking at a steel wheel type of option. Unfortunately, when you start working with steel wheel or streetcars, the cost goes up a lot. I would say significantly. I do not know what that exact number is, but I can ask.
Okay. If we can have a cost basis, a break-even analysis, at what point would be better?
Yeah, the issue with the steel wheel though is you have to have a dedicated lane. Whereas if I have a bus that just mingles with the traffic, that's where a lot of the cost comes into, because you got to buy the land use or the right of way. And then trying to do that up and down 19 can be, there's some areas where there's some green in the middle, but putting it on the sides and so forth, that is going to be a challenge.
I remember you mentioned roughly, I think it was you, mentioned using the turning lanes to go up and down 19 and for the buses. And then what about with the streetcars? I know when we were in Arizona, they actually had shared street cars and rails with other drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was multi-use.
It is multi-use. We would have to look at that because I would have some safety concerns with that. I do know about the Arizona where they use shared use and so the car and it's like another car. We would have to look. We'd have to look at that. But 19 is not a lane all the way down from end to end, and that would be the concern. That would be the cost increase to buy the land that we would need to use, or the right of way, I should say. That is something to look at, though, and we can look at that.
Or if we just continue to use the turning lanes that you had mentioned previously, because I'm not sure which one. I don't know if Commissioner Mariana, if you can help. I don't remember if it was a streetcar or the rail does not need to be on the rail the whole time.
So it's got both rubber and steel wheels. I'd have to look into that one.
Thank you.
Yes. At the joint meeting we had with the city of Newport Richey, they were talking about having their own little transit buses type thing. Kind of looks like a streetcar. Would that affect? Have you tried to work with the city at this point yet, as far as what they're doing, and try to help them do what they're doing, maybe even expand?
With their golf cart type of thing that they're looking at?
Yeah, we've already purchased one. It's going to be ready to roll here in a couple of weeks, but it's a 12-person passenger. It's handicap accessible. That's what we're starting with, just for routes from downtown, from the parking garage. So we're going to try to expand that later and see how it works. But we also were talking about the microbus program, and I guess the feasibility studies out there, and you're still looking at that.
The study, I can't say much other than the committee met last evening, and they're going through the legal process to post the results of that. And I think it's all I can say legally, but that is going to be resolved soon. I'm hoping to have it to the board by the beginning of February, end of February, one of the 2 board meetings in there. And that will have the notice to proceed. And you're correct. We are completely looking at every aspect of the county and letting the citizens and you all and everybody have a huge impact on where we're going. Because we are serving some areas that are no longer major medical areas, or the route. I mean, I don't want to poke Commissioner Oakley's area, but Route 30 is a viable route. It's just going to the wrong spots. And so we need to move the spots where it's going and the route that it's going so we're at the right way. And one of those aspects is they make these really nice buses that look like trolleys. And I just been to a couple of conferences, and the cost is minimal for the upgrade. It looked really cool and really nice, and you have wooden seats, and there's all kinds of options for that. And there are a couple of areas where I'm looking at hopefully doing that. One is in your area, and I can also see something on the going between, like right now for Christmas and the holiday season, between Wiregrass Malls and the Outlet Mall, and doing free service between there, because there's a lot of nice restaurants, and you park once and you go to both of them, and it's all that type of things. So yes, we can do something where we're collaborating on that, and maybe in the future we do have a shuttle service in your area that goes back and forth for the garages to support. But that's, like I said, we're just now getting ready to kick the whole thing off. We've got to go through the RFP process, as you all are aware of that.
Love to work with you on it, and if we can help in any way, or even what we have expand on it, that'd be awesome too.
Well, the good news is in the scope, I specifically wrote that they would meet with all the folks there on the MPO board, one-on-one, get your inputs in. What do you think your area is? Because you're the ones that hear from the citizens. So we want your input, because you'll be able to have some good insights for Zephyr Hills, Dade City, all the county. We want that input. And you take all that stuff in, and they do some magic wand stuff and contractor consultant things, and they come up with this is the plan to move forward. And then they will come back to you and explain how they came up with everything. So it's not just we get your input, then we say, okay, this is what we're doing. No, input, and then why did we go this way? There's two sides to that. So that was key from the input for the process, because I think that gets your buy-in from you all, saying this is a good thing for the county, or wait a second, why did you do that here? And then we can address those issues, and if we need to make a change, we can make a change before it's finalized. So, and I am going to reach out to your planning organization and talk to them how we can help you all with the shuttle. I don't know if there's much we can do, but at least we're there if you need it.
Mayor Hernandez.
And as you reach out to Newport Richey, I think East Pasco, Zephyr Hills and Dade City, the concept of going between the malls and Wiregrass, I know one of the things that happens is a lot of folks don't come to, just having a service of some sort to even come further, if I don't know what the distance, but going between cities and between areas of that sort. I don't know if there's a distance that you folks are looking at, the limitations, but going outside of that to make it, I know at TDC at one time, we talked about having the ability of some type of shuttle or service going around, but that's something that would give people the opportunity to go to Wesley Chapel, go to the ice rinks, and then come over to East Pasco and visit the tennis center and do something in Dade City, and then have that opportunity to go back at the end of the day. So I don't know if that's outside the scope of that, but certainly that's another opportunity, because that is something that where we are located right now, and it's changing because the numbers are like the whole county are changing drastically, would be an opportunity to get people moved around easily.
If it's working on transit in Pasco County, it's on the table. Some of the things I'm looking at, is there a way we can serve St. Leo better, the college itself? And I'm not just looking at just going between Dade City, Zephyr Hills. I'm also looking at, can we get to some of the sporting complexes? We have this beautiful sporting complex down in Wesley Chapel area that we want to get to. What can I do to make it better for people in Pasco County to get to where they want to? Easy. And the phrase I use, how can I help them overcome their transportation barriers to get where they need to go? And I don't care what the destination is, how to overcome those barriers. And that's my biggest goal. And I'm hopefully that is what I want, make sure the contractor is aware of, the consultant is aware of. That's what we're looking for. Nothing's off the table. Nothing is off the table. Just look at all of them. And that's what hopefully you all will bring in some really good ideas that we can look at. Like, don't just limit it to this much, it's the county.
And the last comment, you mentioned St. Leo. I know for years we've been having conversations with Dr. Sinise and others there. Yes, that you have a whole world there. And now, especially with their health center, connecting all of that. So I'm happy we're having this conversation, and I definitely look forward to being included.
Yes, and maybe it's not a fixed route system. Maybe it's a mobility on demand system that I don't even know about, but the consultant does. That's the type of things I'm looking at, that they've got the experience of seeing it across the nation. I may have read about it in an article, and the article says, yeah, they do this, or heard about it from somebody, but they have actually helped design it somewhere across the country, and maybe they can put something in place like that that would work, because St. Leo may not be on a weekday, but on a weekend. They need more on the weekend or later night on like an evenings. Those type of options that need to be looked at, strongly looked at throughout the whole county. And my biggest goal is, I'm not saying what needs to be done. The citizens, everybody's stakeholders are telling me what needs to be done. And that's how I'm looking at it. I have, the only one I think, the only place that I can think that will continue to travel on is 19, just because there's so many people up and down 19. But that's my guessing. I'm not demanding it. You tell me, the consultant, you get the information, and then you tell me what the information is telling you where we need to go. What are the centers that people are going to? Where is every community going to? And there's going to be, as part of the study, they're going to go into those communities and ask them for their inputs too. I really wanted a really robust public participation plan. And that was my goal from the very, very beginning, is we have to get the community in there. And then when you get that in there, then you go back and tell them so they can input on what we came up with. That's how you get the buy-in from the community and get the riders on the buses.
Right. Any other questions for Kurt?
Just give one comment, Joe. As you're talking to the people, you want to reach out to the businesses too?
Yes, sir.
Because when you're talking
Chambers
about
of
the outlet mall
Commerce,
going back and forth,
Chambers of
those
Commerce.
guys may fund it, just like you're trying to do with the city, to help cut the cost down and make it more affordable.
I put Chambers of Commerce on there. If there's someone that we need to go to, please let me know, and I'll be glad to pencil in get it into the group.
It may be all the stops you're going to make. Those
sorry?
people, it may be the stops you're going to make. It may be like, the Rad Sports may say, you know what, we're willing to pay for part of it to go from there to the outlet mall. The outlet mall may say, we'll contribute. So I think specifically where the stops are going to be, where the benefit's going to be, is your best market.
I agree, sir. Because the more I have, the feeling is the more input I get, the more we're going to be able to distill everything down and be able to come up with we won't be able to meet everybody's needs, but we'll come up with the best solution that we can do and move forward with it.
And honestly, as our trip time increases from an hour across the county to an hour and 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, and it takes 20 or 30 minutes now to go somewhere where I used to be able to go in 10 minutes, I think our public transportation is going to be very important for that. And we need to think about it, because every one of you knows how bad the traffic is, and it's not going to get any better. So I think people may be willing to ride public transport if it's in the right spots, like you're saying, and in collaboration with the cities too. I think we all need to work together on it. So thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome, sir.
We'll put it on our thinking caps.
Have a good day.
All right, item 5. See, I'm glad we didn't go over, Kurt, right? That would have been a mistake.
Absolutely. A lot of good stuff there. So the next item is our project prioritization update. And you'll find at your places a spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet is showing us, that goes back here. That spreadsheet shows on it the projects that are on our current project prioritization list. And then you'll notice that we had brought to you previously a methodology as how to score projects. It has been revised since then, and so we've shown how projects scored on the original and how it's been updated. Now, key to those updates, we received feedback from the committees, and particularly the Technical Advisory Committee wanted us to emphasize the economic development aspect of programming projects. So after we worked with their feedback, that changed a few things on here. You'll also remember your very original sheet showing how to score projects. There was only one. And what we discovered is that it placed a strong disadvantage to non-motorized projects. So after reviewing that, we recognized the need to have two very similar methodologies, but one that focused on non-motorized projects because of their attributes being significantly different from roadways. If we talk about roadway congestion, that does not really apply well to a non-motorized facility. And so in your meeting package is that spreadsheet showing how projects would be scored and the total available points. We've maintained the 100 points maximum capability
with the bonus for longevity on the project prioritization list of up to 10 points. And so we still are holding safety and security as a large point category because of the need to make sure we are keeping a very safe system. We are seeking input and feedback from you, and this is something that we would like to try to finalize at our next meeting. So it would be in use when we do our project prioritization, and ultimately we submit a list of project priorities to Florida DOT by June 15th. Lastly, on here, I'm sorry, I've lost the thought. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question for you. Not seeing Old Pasco on there. Is there a
Old
reason?
Pasco is not on our current project priority list. We can run that scoring and share that with you and seek feedback from you.
Okay, well, so I'm confused because that is moving forward. There's a section of that, and Commissioner Mariano remembers that because it was one of the stipulations to move forward with the industrial park, that a large portion that had to be widened prior to them even getting the CO for the industrial park.
Was that a project that is currently programmed, sir?
Yeah, and actually FDOT is helping out with it as well now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So projects that are already programmed and are underway, we would
Well,
not.
we haven't, nobody's broken ground on it yet.
Okay.
So I would just assume, I guess I'd make the assumption that it'd still be on the list until we started seeing action.
Okay.
Because so if you know the road, that's where the new overpass interchange is going as well, and which is turning out to be a huge corridor, as Commissioner Oakley knows, to connect 52 to 54, with all the people wanting to move forward with development and economic development opportunities, including that large project, like I just mentioned, the industrial park. I'm just kind of, I guess, curious why it wouldn't be on there.
If that project.
Again, if we haven't moved forward with it yet, I mean, Commissioner Mariano, are you with me on this one?
I'm with you. I think we're moving on it, so I don't know why it's not on this particular list, but my understanding is that we're going full steam ahead with that thing.
Right. But since we haven't moved dirt yet, wouldn't it still have to be on this list?
If there is a funding commitment and it is funded to be built or constructed,
Okay.
Then it would no longer become one of our wishes or
Okay.
things that we're
All right,
requesting.
I'm with you. I just want to make sure it's not lost in the shuffle.
I understand fully, yes,
Right.
yes, I fully understand. And I guess
Just want to make sure.
what I was
right?
going to mention earlier and had
'Cause it was
lost
lost.
for a moment, part of how this ties into another process, I had emailed to each of you the call for projects. And in the case of the county, I reached out to county engineering. In the case of the municipalities, I reached out to your business manager to make sure that everyone knows this is the time to submit project proposals that could then be placed on this list to compete for funding. And that will close January 31st.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And Carl, something we've talked about with DOT on like a project like County Line Road. This is a project that's going to get funding. We're only paying like a third of it. And that third could turn into a sixth if we get federal funding. So somehow if there's you can add another category in as far as economics, joint partnerships, something to do with the cost benefit that, to pay only for 15% of a road, that value should be high up as far as it's something that should be more of a priority. If it's also something where the road may not get built unless we partner and go forward with that partnership, somewhere in there that we need a little category boost in there, I think.
So would something,
Efficiencies, economics, and regional cooperation.
one of the categories I've seen used by other MPOs, and I'll offer this as a suggestion, is under the project, say under project readiness, we could look at if there is a local contribution to the project of a certain percentage, or we're only paying for a certain portion of the project, we could award it points for such a thing. Is that kind of what you're thinking towards, sir?
Somewhere in there, but again, depending on, I don't know how you break the numbers out from here with 100 points already, but I mean, when I look at this one particular project, it is such a minuscule amount of money compared to the value that's going to get built for the road. Somehow you got to structure it in there. So between, I don't know where you put it. You might need it just a separate category.
So it would be something like the participation of the county, the percentage, total cost participation of the county. If it was, the lower it is, the
Somewhere
more
in there,
points it would score. I think that does make sense.
There are other thoughts or feedback that you would like to offer, please? And I know we've brought this to you several times before. It is an iterative process. We want to make sure as we're tracking this forward, we're keeping you informed and that you are supportive of this, because ultimately this will be used to share a list with Florida DOT in which we request funding. And Florida DOT has been very generous with our list. I want to continue our good track record.
Let me, Carl, I need to ask you something. When you, and you model this, and I know there's a lot of criteria here, but when you run a comparison on road, just say a road that you know is needed versus a road that may or may not be needed, you run those two. Does the model make sense? I mean, and you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. And we've tried to exactly do that by using a numerical qualifier to demonstrate where there is a need that project should score much higher on the points, whereas a project that sounds nice but doesn't have a lot of merit behind it is not going to score well. It will show up near the bottom of a list perhaps. And the idea being that we can then take the values of the region and express them numerically, which is what we're attempting to do here. The other thing that would be beneficial here is when we do a call for projects in future years, if you have a project you wish to submit, you can look at the scoring and go, okay, I'm going to score pretty well, or this really won't score well. And I think it will help people to understand their likelihood of being able to successfully pursue funding through federal funds. And then again, Florida DOT has more money than just federal funds. If they see something on our list that they feel is a good project, they may be able to put other funding on it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And it might even be not only just regional, so maybe that wasn't quite the right word, but regional, and also if we're working with one of our municipalities, whether we're like when we did State Road 56.
Sure.
City
Working
county
together.
commitment.
City, county, like we're doing, look at Green Key, any projects like that that are getting help from an outside agency, from this
Okay.
particular MPO.
I think that does make sense.
So thinking along the lines of projects that have a partnership, if you will.
It'd be like the trail project with the cities. So yeah, whatever that would be to help it.
Yes.
I think we have to be careful not forget projects that are sitting there and we're not talking about them all the time. And I think just a while back, we had to actually move a couple of projects over. We're going to get funded by DOT. We didn't have them on our list because it was projects we felt were coming on, but we failed to see they need to be on the list to be funded at the right time. So that's, we got a couple of roundabouts, one in the Meridian and one out at San Ann. We don't talk about those a lot, but they are in the near future of being funded, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And I think it is hard to kind of grasp because it'd be nice to see this applied to in application, because I'm just looking at this and thinking about, okay, the number one's a project with a record of serious injuries. Well, if one has, one serious injury and 100 serious injuries, I'm sure there's a definition between that too. One would be maybe one would get 1 and the other would get 7 points or something like that. Is that the way it works, or?
And so there are some instructions that come with that were located in your packet. And I've got them here. And that may help to clarify some of this information. And so using these sheets that are shown in blue, for a record of serious injuries, we are using a project that has serious injuries in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Now, we did not scale it in terms of more serious injuries having more points. That can be further broken down. We're also using then fatalities.
I'll look that over if it's in there. I'm sorry, I had missed
Well,
it.
we only do it as a yes or no. So we
Okay.
do not scale it between one
So it's
serious
either,
injury and
7
100.
or a 0, right? Is that the way that's the way all of them are?
That's the way these were scored.
Okay.
And that, again, if that's feedback for us, we can look at scaling that.
Well, I mean, I just, let me go through it because I didn't see
Okay.
that in the packet sent, so.
Quite all right, quite all right.
Any other questions? Because this is pretty important. This is the way we're going to rank the project, so we need to all make sure we look at it hard. And I didn't, I apologize.
And I want to make sure that we are moving forward in a direction that you're supportive of so that we can bring you ultimately a final product.
And we're looking to adopt this in the.
I would like to in February, because then we could utilize it for our list of project priorities that are due June 15th.
Okay.
And I will admit, this has been a very aggressive schedule with this project. This is something that generally takes a fair amount of time. Staff has put a lot of time and effort into this and has focused on this heavily. So I want to say a huge thank you to the team who have banded together to make this happen.
Right. Okay.
And please do feel free to reach out between the meetings individually to me as you look at this and contemplate it. I realize you're only seeing the scoring for the first time today of the individual projects that are on our current project prioritization list. Sometimes as you digest it and sleep on it a few days, you have a few more thoughts.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 6.
And that'll be our regional transit study for US 19. We are pleased to have with us today Mr. Brian Pissarro with T-BARTA. Oh, there's a clicker right there.
All right. Good morning again. My name is Brian Pissarro. I'm a principal planner with T-BARTA. Today I'm just going to give you a brief overview of a study that we just began in September called the US 19 Regional Rapid Transit, or RRT, feasibility study. Let me actually want to back up. Before I even get to the slides, though, I think it's important for me to define what we mean by RRT. I know, Commissioner Mariano, you know what RRT is because you used to be on T-BARTA. But for the rest of you, when I say regional rapid transit or RRT, what I'm referring to is this is a regional freeway-based form of bus rapid transit. Bus rapid transit, or BRT, is a form of bus transit that's meant to emulate the look and feel of rail transit. So BRT operates usually in some form of a dedicated lane. The stations tend to be further apart than local bus service, generally on the average of about half a mile. And you notice I said stations, not stops, whereas local bus service will just have like a stop with a sign. With BRT, what you're looking at here is more along the lines of stations. So again, we're trying to emulate the look and feel of rail transit. Typically, bus rapid transit operates on arterial streets within a single county. Now, because T-BARTA is a regional 5-county agency, what we're looking at doing is applying that BRT concept to freeways across county lines. Now, since May of 2019, we've been doing a PD&E study for RRT on I-275 that would connect the 3 counties of Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas, and the buses would operate in a mix of dedicated bus lanes, tolled express lanes across the Howard Franklin Bridge, and also in mixed traffic. What this study, the US 19 RRT feasibility study, is doing, it's looking at applying that same RRT concept on US 19 from State Road 52 in the north down to the Gateway Caroline area of Pinellas County. So that's just quick overview. So again, the map on the right shows you the study limits. So State Road 52 in the north, Gateway down in the south. What the objective of this study is to identify some feasible alternatives that could be implemented. And those alternatives could be broken out into both a short-term solution and a long-term solution. Either way, when the study is done, what we would be looking to do is to adopt these concepts into the long-range transportation plans of both MPOs so that they can now become candidates for funding. We're doing this study, we're not doing it in a vacuum just by ourselves, we're doing it in partnership with our sister agencies. We developed a study exec team that includes staff from the Pasco MPO, Go Pasco, Ford Pinellas, PSTA, and FDOT. We're providing the exec team, we're keeping them informed of the progress of the study. In fact, we have a meeting of the exec team next week, and we're getting their feedback throughout the study. The study is basically broken up into 3 phases. Phase 1, we're getting near wrapping up. Phase 1 was the station area evaluation. So how many stops and where are they going to be located? Phase 2 is going to be the alignment evaluation. So that's looking at the corridor itself. What types of roadway improvements could we incorporate in US 19 to help transit operate more efficiently? And then in phase 3, we'll get to the preliminary concept of operations. This slide just gives you a little bit more information about the type of work that's being done in phase 1. So we looked at 44 potential station areas from between State Road 52 and the Gateway. Those are shown on the map that you see on the right. We evaluated each one of these station areas using multiple evaluation criteria. Some of them, not all, there were more than what you see here in the list, but some of them include things like current and future population density, current and future employment, the number of activity centers, number of zero-car households. We basically looked at within a 1/2 mile radius of each one of those station areas. We then rated them, gave them a rating of either fair, good, or better. We also did a travel market assessment to get a better idea of where are people coming from and going to in the corridor. And what it showed was, in terms of trips in Pasco County, 55% of the trips in the corridor that originate in Pasco County stay within Pasco County. 45% leave the county and go down into Pinellas. For Pinellas County, 97% of the trips in the corridor stay internal to Pinellas County. Only 3% go up into Pasco. So there's certainly much more traffic coming south from Pasco into Pinellas. Probably really no surprise. This is just another slide showing some more information about the travel market assessment. So the top 5 travel markets are all completely within Pinellas County. Clearwater to Largo, Largo to Pinellas Park, Clearwater to Pinellas Park, Clearwater to Dunedin, and Clearwater to Palm Harbor. The flow chart on the right shows you origins and destinations. So the column on the left is your origins. Your column on the right is your destinations. The lines in gold or yellow represent the Pasco County traffic. So even though most of the travel markets are completely within Pinellas County, there's still quite a bit of traffic coming from Pasco down into Pinellas. What makes it complex, and you can kind of see this from the lines, is that they're going to a variety of destinations. There's really no one single destination that everyone's going to. In phase 2, the alignment evaluation, that's where we're going to take a closer look at the corridor. What types of improvements could we make? That could include things like bustle and shoulder lanes. A bustle and shoulder lane is basically, it's a bypass lane. If there's traffic congestion in the general purpose lanes, the buses are allowed to use the shoulder to bypass that congestion. PSTA is actually testing out this concept on a segment of 275 right now. Business access transit or BAT lanes, that's another type of a dedicated bus lane. What that is, it's for buses only, but cars are allowed to enter into that lane to go into businesses that are along the corridor. A Q jump is essentially a dedicated bus lane at a signalized intersection. The bus has its own lane and it gets an early green so they can jump out ahead of the traffic. And then of course you got transit signal prioritization, where the bus sends a message to the traffic light and has it hold the green until it can get through the intersection. The consultant is going to develop several different scenarios that has a mix of these improvements, and the consultant is going to measure what impact do these package of improvements have on things like ridership, travel time, and cost effectiveness. And then at the end of phase 2, we're going to finalize what the preferred alignment is. And that part of it will also include looking at what's the best way to get from US 19 to the Gateway. So, because there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either go by way of Almerton Road or Roosevelt. So we'll have to figure that out. When we get to phase 3, the preliminary concept of operations. In that phase, we will complete 10% design of the preferred alternative. We'll develop a draft operating plan, so that will have a recommended span of service for the AM and PM, for the weekday and weekend, a recommended frequency of service. We'll come up with what's the necessary fleet size, develop draft capital and operating cost estimates. And it's very possible that when we get to the end of the study that the recommendations are going to be split out into stuff. Here's some things that could be implemented in the short term, say in like 5 years or less, and here's some things that may take a little longer to do. In terms of next steps, so next week, the exec team has a meeting. We're going to be reviewing the results of that station area analysis, decide which one of those 44 station areas do we want to carry forward. In January, the consultant's going to begin work on that phase 2 of the alignment evaluation. In the February-March timeframe, our consultant's going to be reaching out to set up one-on-one interviews with all the county commissioners in both Pasco and Pinellas. We want to kind of share with you some of the ideas we're considering for the corridor and get your feedback. That's my contact information, and I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Commissioner Mariano?
I'd just like to say, I know Pinellas County was very excited about actually working with us, speaking to them at the TMA about trying to make this happen. So I'm glad to see you going so far ahead with it, but they are definitely willing participants all the way through. And as we just heard about us looking at electric buses, they're going that way as well. So
Yeah.
I think we align ourselves pretty well.
Any other questions? No? Thank you for
All
that
right,
presentation.
you're welcome.
And we have his contact info if we need to reach out to him. All right, item 7, the State Road 52.
Thank you very much. So this is a status update on the Adair Road 52 intersection. This is in Dade City. It is near the high school. It connects to Morningside Drive. There's a great number of homes being built in this area, so we're expecting there to be increased traffic. We have a consultant on the study. They'll be bringing a final report to you at our February meeting. But we wanted to make you aware this study is underway, and we've given you a little bit of information about the study in your meeting packet. That is all on that topic.
Okay, any questions?
Just a comment, I want to thank you for, as you said, there's just a huge number of homes there, and with the Morningside Drive extension that we're working on, and that whole area is, definitely in need of a look-see, and just whether it's a traffic light, additional lanes, so appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to the February meeting to get that update.
Thank you.
All right. All right, the other business meetings, any scheduled items to note?
The only thing is there will be a meeting tomorrow of the Sun Coast Transportation Planning Alliance tomorrow. One of the topics of discussion will be regional transit.
Thank you. Anything else for the board organization? Nothing. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. We have a nice group here today, and I appreciate everybody that's here. Y'all all have a good holiday, and who's going to come jump my car off for me? So that's the question I have. Ronnie, you're going to help me jump my car off, right? I got to go get my car at ZHS. You'll help me. Okay, no problem. Okay. If not,
You got
okay.
jumper cables? I don't have any.
I'll find us some. So
Okay.
Okay. Good deal. Okay. Everybody have a good Christmas. Meeting adjourned.
Great one. Thank you.